Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Investing Bros. It is Wednesday, April the 5th, and we've got a great show lined up for you today. In case anyone is not looking at the charts, things are moving in the right direction with those green candles this morning, as we did have some important information come out. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But the question of the show today is, do we finally break through on Bitcoin and go above 30,000, or will we reject once again? Also, what will alts be doing right behind it? We are joined by Magic Internet Money to break down those charts and answer just that question. So do not go anywhere. Make sure you tune in for the entire show. While you're at it, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you are new here, subscribe to the channel for more content just like this on Bitcoin and alts, stocks, TA, news, everything that you need as an investor to make sure you are investing properly with your own ideas. That is what we're all about here. Go ahead and smash that like button. I am joined by other co-hosts this morning that are phenomenal, starting off with the man sitting across the desk for me, Mr. T. Shroom. How are you doing this morning, T. Shroom?
I'm doing really, really well, Tim. And some might say I'm doing better than I deserve.
Some say that, yes.
That's right. I've got a quote here for you. And the quote is, trading success happens on purpose, not by accident. There you go. What do you think?
I agree.
Trading's got to be intentional.
I absolutely agree. But let's see who else agrees, because we're also joined by Army Piper. Piper, do you agree with this quote?
Absolutely, brother. You got to have a deliberate plan. It's not an accident. You got to have your plan. You got to have your setup. You got to have your roles. You got to follow it. You got to read the charts. You can't negotiate with the charts. I say that all the time. There's no negotiating with the charts. You read the data. It tells you a story. You follow the story. You make your plan.
That sounds absolutely phenomenal. But we also have another person joining the show. As I mentioned, Magic Internet Money is here. First of all, how are you doing this morning, Magic Internet Money? And second of all, what are your thoughts about this quote?
I actually really like that quote, and I'm great. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. So, nothing happens by accident. I do believe some people call it manifestation. Some people call it being prepared. They go hand in hand. You sit down with yourself and make sure there's a plan at place. You'll find success eventually.
Oh, that's awesome. I also love that he decided to come on. He is Investing Bros Blue this morning. It's a great brand affiliation there. Loving it. We're about to jump into the charts here in just a little bit, but we have a couple of things, just some operations here during our little welcome. Once again, everybody, if you guys have not already, smash that like button. We already have over 50 people in here. Oh, the likes are getting there. 30 likes is good. We're above 50%, but at this point, we easily can get to 100% with those like buttons. So smash that like. Let's read some names. Let's see who is here this morning. We're going to give a special shout out to the Al Bundles bot this morning. It was the most successful bot, beating out a Mellow Fellow and Yair Navarro. Do we know if Yair Navarro, is he a bot operator as well? I don't know if we know that or not.
I don't think he is.
Well, we'll see. If Yair Navarro got in second place without a bot, hats off to him. But we do want to shout out Al Bundles. By the way, for legal purposes, we have no idea if they're actually using bots. That's just our assumption at this time. It could be just an allegation. Shouting out some other people that are here. Mellow Fellow is also here. His bot was late this morning. John Kahn is here. Mr. J. Let's see who else. A lot of the same people. Mike Play is here. J.N. Carr. Curtis Rorick is here. Crypto Ben Franklin, using the joke that I often use with him, saying, "Good morning, everyone. Favorite non-president here." I love it. I love when the community uses my jokes. And he was talking about this later. It is absolutely amazing how many people think that Ben Franklin was, in fact, one of our U.S. presidents. Fun fact, one of my best friends growing up, his family name was Franklin, and they named him Benjamin. So I knew a Ben Franklin. Not the original, though. Let's see who else is here. Justin Eubanks, Alex Green is here. Eric Wallen is here. Joe Nickel. Who else do we have? Elo Brown is here. Let's see. Ninja Glock. Crypto Trades. By the way, Crypto Trades is coming in here with his chest day, saying, "Holy moly, 295 on 5 for chest day. We are almost in Miami, baby. Let's go. I need a spotter." No, that's lightweight for Tim. Hey, listen. That is 295 is never lightweight, especially with my bad shoulder. That is not lightweight right now. That is impressive. 295 for 5. I'd have to guesstimate. That means Crypto Trades, your max, I'm going to say, is going to be sitting somewhere around about 350. And whether or not you can hit 350 or not, I guarantee you, if you can hit 295 for 5, you probably can hit 350 for 1. That is not lightweight. That is some big boy weight right there. Out of curiosity, we'll pause there. Magic, Internet Money, you work out a good amount too. What do you think about 295 for 5 reps on bench?
So I can almost do that. So my max is 315 for 2. So yeah.
We got some strong men on the channel today. Strong men.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's read a couple more names here. Mike Lowry is also here. Gia S is here. Always good to see Gia in here. Crypto JMP. And then let's get a couple more. Crux of Crypto with the blue wrenches here. Alton Henderson. And Magic Internet Money is here, but he's also here in 2 ways. Let's see. Last one. Josh Denham is also here this morning. Shout out to everybody who is in chat. Like I always say, if I did not read your name, it is not because I don't love you. It's just time to go ahead and move on. And we got a great show lined up for you today. Once again, in case anyone is just joining in, this is your first show of the week with Investing Bros. Reminder, we've expanded now into a 90-minute show where we have our traditional show. We cover some TA, we cover news, we cover stocks in the first hour. But that last half hour is really to engage with you guys more and look for some big changes coming there. We're not just going to be doing TA. We also might have a lot more interactive events coming in the future. But let me know in chat if you guys are excited now that we have a 90-minute show here with the Investing Bros. I want to throw it over, first of all, I want to throw it to Piper for a macro update. We had some big news come out this morning that might be a part of the reason why we are seeing green candles. Piper, why don't you go ahead and take that away?
Thanks, Tim. So what we're looking at here this morning, we've got the ADP employment change. What this is the number of jobs created. We were expected to come in at 200,000 jobs for the forecast and the consensus. Previously, we had created 261,000 jobs, but we only had 145,000 jobs created. So it came in lower than expected, for one. 2, it is a pretty decent pullback from the 261,000 jobs that we created last month. And so because of that, the Fed Reserve now has to see that they're lagging 4 to 6 month indicator of their actions that they do on the rate hikes is now having an effect on jobs. So there's your Auntie Beth prediction of the 2 million jobs being lost. We're already starting to see the pullback there. This means that it is very likely that Jerome Powell is going to have to pump the brakes a little bit on his rate hikes because he doesn't want to wreck jobs in the labor force. So,
wait, so the job reports, this was job being created or jobs that are like, this is unemployment? Which is this?
This was jobs being created. This is the ADP employment change. So how many jobs were created on the market? So
Gotcha.
Interesting. All right. So less jobs are being created, obviously, and that's going to be part of what Jerome Powell was talking about with 2 million people losing their jobs. Part of that is when there's no new jobs available and layoffs happen as normal. Now there's nowhere for it to go. Makes a lot of sense. And this kind of flows over into, do you have more?
Yeah, I just want to show people here what it is. ADP employment change. Private business in the U.S. created 145,000 jobs in March, below an upwardly revised 261,000 in February, and below the forecast of the 200,000 that they had for being created. So it is a sign of the labor market slowing as consumer demand ebbs and the cost of borrowing goes up. So
yeah, I mean it's basically businesses not making new jobs. They're not expanding their warehouses, they're not expanding their manufacturing floor, whatever it is. There's going to be less jobs. So that's okay for a time because we've had a very strong labor market. But the question is, how long is that going to last?
True.
And this is one of the first data points that we've seen that really could point to problems in the labor market.
Well, we're seeing this be reflected. You can go to my screen here, Piper. We are still 28 days away from the next FOMC meeting. However, the CME future tool, if you guys have been paying attention to this, it is swinging this morning. We now have 60% prediction that we're going to pause, that there will not be a rate hike. And this is interesting because just yesterday we did see an article from someone in the Fed. I don't think that the person making the quote was made public, but someone in the Fed said that they were in fact going to have to get interest rates above 5% and hold them there for a while. Well, the CME futures, they're not believing that story. They're predicting that Jerome Powell is going to go ahead and say, we got to pause here for the sake of the dollar, for the sake of the economy, for the sake of banks. We'll have to keep this posted again 28 days. Crux of Crypto made a great joke this morning. He said, if you don't like what you're seeing on this tool, just wait 12 hours and it will change. And that is a very true, very, very true statement. Real quick before we jump into TA, this morning the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 62, still in greed, but it's kind of hanging tight here. We kind of got into a sideways movement, just like our charts. Bitcoin has been trading sideways. It's the hourly chart. We've been trading sideways over the last couple of hours, but even going out to the 4-hour chart, we've been trading sideways now in a channel ever since back here on the 17th of March. But guess what? A breakout is definitely coming. Let me take down my chart prime stuff right here. I want to show you guys the Bollinger Bands out on the daily chart. This is, I kind of alluded to this in a tweet yesterday. A breakout is coming. Well, guess what? Our Bollinger Bands on the daily chart are constricting. You guys know, who have been watching this channel and you follow other technical analysts, you know, when the Bollinger Bands constrict like this, breakouts are coming. Volatility is coming back in the space. So it's time to strap in. On that note, though, I do want to throw it over and welcome in Magic Internet Money. I'm so excited to hear what he has to say about this market. But let's just go ahead and start by, and before we get into details what the future looks like, I haven't gotten to hear Magic Internet Money's take on the Bitcoin chart here in a while. So kind of just walk us through, what have you been watching here more recently on Bitcoin? And then we can kind of flow into what does the future look like?
Yeah, so I mean, it's no secret we're range bound right now at resistance. So to me, this was all kind of it started as a mean reversion play at the beginning of the year. I started talking about in December. If we start breaking back up, we're looking for roughly 26,700. And that's still going to be the key level for me to the downside. That's your yearly pivot. I'm sure you've reviewed that. I know we've talked pivots before. And as long as you're hanging on to that level, things are good in the immediate short term. And so for me, I'm still holding longs from 16.6. I have not closed those leverage positions. I'm completely out of my head short from last year that I held for almost a year. So I'm only exposed in risk on assets to the upside and have been for a few months now. So for me, there's no real reason to think that the rally is over. We've just hit resistance, and price does have to consolidate a little bit occasionally. It doesn't just go straight up and to the right all the time.
Makes sense. Well, I don't know if you've already shared your screen or not, but let's go ahead and jump on your screen. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart this morning. Also, I don't know if I'm sure you follow this as well. The dollar this morning is falling as well. I'd love to hear your take on what you're seeing over on the Dixie. But yeah, we can go ahead and take that away.
Sure. Yeah. So as far as Bitcoin goes, these are boxes I've essentially had up for, I don't know, several weeks now coming into them. So we're essentially consolidating at a pretty key low from back in the summer. And I had this low marked at 28,726.50 all the way over here. Because if we slide to the left, you can see that's also your value area low of your market structure range as we were dumping back in May and June of last year. So we've come back up into that region, and we're just trying to find acceptance back into a range right now. And if you look at the chart, the entire move down, one could very easily use volume profile or market structure and determine that, the ranges are shifting down and we're failing to make higher ranges or higher lows, I guess, in this case. You're not seeing any actual shift in that data, and you're now trying to make a change of behavior on the high time frames with that. So getting back above that 28,726.50 does make me think we're going to see 30K. However, I think that's a reaction area where we could definitely get some trades out of. But if we definitively break above this, we'll call it 29K because it's just a nice even round number. I'm actually looking more up towards like this 32 to 33 range right here. Main reason being is you have your Q1 low right here, which is going to be a pretty big level to get back inside of. Also, if we shifted back from 2021, as you know, I tracked just about everything. We have our June bottom. And this was a big region for me when we were dumping, both from a Fibonacci standpoint, but it was also your point of control of your accumulation range. So this little blue box is definitely derived from a few different things. The overall low from Q1 of 2022, and then you also have the POC coming in here of your prior accumulation in this area. So it's going to be a very relevant area. I would expect not to blow through this region, but I would think we're probably going to at least take it and run to the upside. And anything above 32, as far as like a closing basis, call it daily, weekly candles, I think over time, or maybe not even over time, because this is a pretty quick move, I would expect to see 38,922. That's actually a pretty big area on the chart for me. So that's been the area I've been calling for. If this rally got out of hand and it reclaimed the 12M1 here, which is just your yearly pivot, you could go over to the BLX and you could actually see what I mean by that. If we were to go ahead and ignore the fractal, we were playing with that on a stream. that would be right in line with what we're looking at there, but I don't do too much fractals. Looking at the yearly pivots over time, though, and how they interact with price, everyone wants to compare this to the 2019 rally, and you can see we did something very similar. Big consolidation, massive deviation away from the prior year's average up at $8,000 before reaching it, chopping around the region, still holding structure, and then finally making that move up. And so looking for something similar until price gives me a reason not to be bullish, I guess. There's no sense in just trying to preset and fight the uptrend because you missed the low, if that's the case for a person. That's a quick way to get wrecked. So trend is your friend. The trend right now has been good for Bitcoin. I haven't been paying almost any attention to macro news, to be honest with you. The charts were kind of what gave the tip off to start getting long. And I believe that, the news does matter. The fundamentals definitely do. However, without a chart, you're still flying blind. You can't just trade off of headlines and potential policy decisions. So that's how I've been looking at it. But yeah, consolidation up here is good. You lose 26.7, 24. 24.7 is really the line in the sand. Do track things on a time basis. Obviously, the quarter one range high comes in right in this region. So you really don't want to find acceptance back into that area. If you do, I would expect to fill in these NPOCs right around 22.8 and 22.4. And you can also see that your trend right here, this is now a closed session of the first quarter. And you can see the trend on this. And this is just a standard deviation worked out in a regression. And then I apply time basis like sessions to them to get an idea of what's going on. We're riding the EQ. We break down from this. I expect to see 24/7, and that's really a big, big area for me. My opinions on the market start to change beneath that. So I think that's also your quarterly pivot. I do believe. Let's take a look. Sorry, not to throw too much out there all at once.
No, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, so yeah, that's how I form my opinions. So, the average of price is 24,713 for the last quarter. That's also your value area high of your prior 3-month consolidation range. And it would also be the end of the trend if we break below it. So for me, as long as price is above that, it's hard for me to be bearish on the market structure. So I'm looking for higher still. There's no reason to think that the rally is over just yet.
One thing I love, you talk about where you have been positioned in long ever since down at 16,000 is what you mentioned. So what I would love to hear from you, what are you looking for to get out of that long position, potentially enter a short position? Are you looking at that 32K? Are you looking at 38? Are you looking for something to pop up on the chart? What is your call that you're looking at to get out of that long position?
So for me right now, it's just been a sign of weakness. And I know that more than likely a move like this isn't going to end this impulsively coming into this region. So as long as we're holding 26.7, I kind of knew that, I did take some shorts out of this region. Those in the group know we were shorting this region kind of not intermittently, but on and off because it's been really good resistance because it's made up of two pivots, the 6-month pivot from 2022 and the quarter 3. They were both untapped coming into it, along with that nice June 22nd summer low that we mentioned earlier. So the reason we knew not to close those shorts was, well, you were making higher lows right here. We'll go to the 4 hours, just a little easier to see. You've been making higher lows, right? And you haven't really taken any stops. You finally took stops right here and you've reclaimed. So there's no point in continuing to hold this short that you might have been taking from these regions. Usually when you get something like this with a nice consolidation and bullish divergence in terms of the delta, you're going to see a move all the way back to the range highs. And we knew we were probably going to take this high altogether. So there just hasn't been what we need to see for a local top in terms of volume to say, okay, this is going to be a swing short that I'm going to ride down to this region. Now, from a risk standpoint, it does make sense to be short up here because it's resistance. Your stop loss is not that far away. So that's the better trade. You definitely don't want to be longing into resistance. And this was probably one that caught a lot of people off guard right here. You had a really clean, like intraday trend, I guess you could say right here. Like, so getting long in this region and knowing that this was going to be an area to put on risk is kind of tough. You'd almost have to go from a session type of volume all the way to like a market structure. You can see here's your breakout that finally broke out without returning inside of that 25K zone. So you're just going to track the range over now into resistance. You can see it's your value area low. Based on this looks pretty close to a 1-to-1. I would bet it's somewhere in between the 886 and the 100% mark. and it certainly is. So when you slide this over, you would see that in terms of an intraday trend, you're now coming into this little like 1-to-1 zone. So you have that going for you. And now when you line it up, to me, it just looks like it's butting up against resistance. And this will be resistance till it's not. And I love fibs for this region. So you've got your gold pocket here on a trend, and then our trend-based 1-to-1 comes in where? Right at our blue box. So to me, everything's pointing to we still have some upside. It's just a matter of getting long and not putting yourself in harm's way. So you do have to be patient in this region. So yeah, hopefully, hopefully that helps. But yeah, if we lose 26, I would start looking for shorts because I do think you see 24/7 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of in a place that you're just looking for a reason to get out of a long, not necessarily you don't have a specific target. Like I know something we talked about very heavily on the channel. I love how you mentioned the similarities back to 2019. I've been looking at that as well. I love what I'm seeing on the charts. It looks, again, identical is not the right word, but so similar to what we saw happen in a premature bull run. And so what I'm looking at is that longer time frame, which, by the way, we could go ahead and share my chart real quick. Let him see this just in case he hasn't. I got to take down a lot of stuff. Got a lot of sharp prime up here. Want to use just traditional. What was I on? I'm on some other coin too. I wasn't even on Bitcoin. Let's take a look here at the Bitcoin chart long term. Fibonacci back in 2019, we went up to the golden pocket and then fell 50% back down. What I'm looking at right here, which would make a lot of sense, I've talked about this heavily, the 25.2 being strong level of resistance. I saw that was marked out on your chart as well. So a lot of similarities here. I'm sitting here wondering, especially with all of the chaos going on now with banks and the lack of confidence, and we're going to talk more about some more developments there that could push Americans away from the dollar even further. I think there's a good chance we get a Bitcoin rally at least up here to the 50%. Back to 42,000, but I think there's a good chance 50,000 happens, and then copying the 2019 premature rally, we fall 50% back down to this level of 25.2. But again, former resistance turns support, and in case you haven't looked at this one, I'll go to the log chart with this one just to give it some depth. The same thing happened right here. The last level of resistance before the big dip down to the bottom in 2018, that's the level. We used that golden pocket. We climbed back up into the golden. Come on now, Fibonacci, go with me. All right, we climbed back up into the golden pocket, then fell another 50% back down to that exact same level. You gotta. Oh, I'm on the log chart. Gotta change it to linear. There we go. Gotta come back here. This is what I'm. Come on now, chart. Why aren't you playing with me this morning? This is what I'm kind of watching for right here. Is a similar move. The pandemic, of course, was its own deal. Who knows? Maybe we have a pandemic happen again. There's also rumors about that stuff happening. But what are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts about the possibility of almost a repeat 2019 fake rally before the real rally comes later on the next year? What are your thoughts about that?
I hope it's going to be that simple. I know that sounds crazy, but when things are that similar, it's nice. However, we could all point out that it's going to be similar. It's all going to be a matter of how you position yourself in that, and not being greedy, because obviously it's washing both sides of the market and an accumulation there. So, I'm not really sure. I would love something like that. I think it would be an ideal because the range on that was just massive. You got to think you were trading, anywhere from 10.3 to 12,000, some a little bit higher, even all the way back down to 6 for a while. Back to 10, back to 6, back to 10, then all the way to 3, giving a ton of opportunities to the market. I would enjoy that personally. I don't know what's going to happen is what I tell people. I just, I try to find the best risk to reward and put myself in that position, because I don't want to get in front of a train trying to catch falling knives or stop, rallies going. So, I do think there are similarities for sure. We'll see,
Yeah. Special shout out, by the way, to two people in chat. We got both Kelly Kellum and we have Caleb Franzen in chat. So 2 big dogs watching in this morning. Shout out to both of them. They're both hopefully coming on the channel here very soon. But back to you, Magic Gainer Money. Now, I know from getting to know you in the past, you're a part of a group. You guys do a lot of trading. You work together. And I know you are a little bit more of a Bitcoin specialist. You pay a lot of attention to the Bitcoin chart. And then other people in the group kind of do more altcoin stuff. But that doesn't mean that you don't ever take a look at altcoins. Are there any altcoins that are exciting you right now? / kind of while you're answering that one, do you think that we're about to enter an altcoin rally, an altcoin season, or similar to 2019, will Bitcoin outperform? Will we see the Bitcoin dominance continue to climb, and we're waiting for an alt season later on when the bull market actually starts?
Generally, when money does rotate back into alts, it's not a good sign for the rally on Bitcoin. So that's coming eventually. Yeah, we'll see money rotate into alts. I think now, or has been the time to accumulate them personally. If you're looking for long term swing holds now, that doesn't mean like intraday trades. You can definitely do that, of course, but things like Ethereum, XRP. I grabbed some Polkadot. Uh, I was in Chainlink, things like that, massive accumulation ranges, in my opinion. So those were good areas to put on risk and, no leverage needed. You could just allocate and kind of relax a little bit and let the chart do its thing and, swing trade those. So yeah, I am looking at alts. Yeah, I obviously looked at Doge yesterday. It's doing its thing, pumping, still needs to get above 10 cents. It had a really, really large harmonic pattern. I didn't spot it till just before the show, but really nice deep crab. And you can see that what's really nice about this is the overextension here into the low. So very quick move down. And then you had a massive point of control. So the overall point of control for all price action comes in here. So when you look at your global point of control, the most volume done was right here at 5.8 cents. So that was where you really have to hang on to. It was also the completion zone of this really nice harmonic. And so now you've got some resistance at 10 cents. But if you get above this, I'm actually looking for probably this B leg over time right here. So you do have some resistance right around 17 cents, but 19 cents seems to be the area that I would be looking towards. Just a back test of this old consolidation range. And, if you wanted to be more conservative, you could obviously use the X pivot as well. So you can see that you've already tapped the X pivot right here. But if you get back above this, I'd expect to see 16 to 17 cents and then maybe 19 over time. And that's how I would trade that. So yeah, at Doge, Doge leading the way for the altcoins, but XRP is the one that is kind of the, most exciting for people due to the lawsuit. And again, we talked about this one when I came on a long time ago. The last time I was here, we talked about this potential harmonic playing out. And I don't remember if I have it saved. It was the BAT setup. Yeah, there it is. So this was a weekly setup and basically looking to see yourself get back above this quarter one low. We talked about 54.61 cents, and it remains to be the level to close back above here. You can see that you've come up and tagged it again, taking these local highs and swung fail. So not the most bullish look when you look at something like this. You would actually take a short here, looking to trade it back into the range. And, very simply, you could just say, where's my range at? And man, the range is way down there. So you do want to see this consolidate and get continuation. Otherwise, quite a bit of downside potentially. But if it gets above this level, I'm looking to take some of these alts to higher targets. So being patient with these, just like I would Bitcoin. Bitcoin hasn't hit my major targets. Altcoins haven't either. That doesn't mean you don't pay yourself along the way. This was a big take profit area, and this was a big area to be looking for longs. So just trading the range for what it is, but not closing all of the position, because in the instance that this does get through this resistance and this range does expand to the upside, I know that I have targets at 77 cents, 81 cents, ultimately all the way up here right around $1, somewhere around 95, things like that. So you don't want to be all out of the market and find yourself like trying to FOMO back in as the rally is getting underway. It's not the smartest thing to do. So I've just been trying to be patient, incrementally pay myself, of course, and not take unnecessary risks, because this all looks great on a chart. However, if it doesn't pan out, you don't want to be overexposed, in one direction. So, because you're going to be wrong in life, and you're definitely going to be wrong in trading at some point. And but the altcoins haven't hit their major targets. So for me, when I see that, it makes me think Bitcoin still has more room to go. And alts, when they do catch up and they run, they're also going to provide opportunities for some really nice gains. And then I'll get out of those positions probably at those specific setups and wait to see what the market's going to bring me.
This sounds an interesting question. While you were doing that, I'm kind of wondering, when you're trading and you're looking for good entry spots, what is your timeline you're looking into the future? Like, are you thinking where things can be at the top of the next bull market? Are you thinking where things could be by the year 2030? Or are you only thinking like, hey, where can we be here in the next 2 months, 3 months, maybe 6 months? What is the furthest into the future you are kind of looking at and preparing yourself for? To take profits, to enter longs, to enter shorts. What's your timeline look like?
Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a year. It just depends on the volatility. So mentioning this position here that we got in at 16.6 for Bitcoin. For me, I track everything based on time. And so 6 month windows for me work really, really well for Bitcoin. I like to look at things in terms of 6 months. So what I'll do is I'll come find the low for the first 6 months of price, And this is what I did when I, started sharing this stuff on TikTok. I don't know why, but people just couldn't wrap their head around it. So you're looking for a move that's similar, right? So we're looking for one-to-ones a lot, because when you stretch a rubber band, it often has to revert back, and buyers and sellers never change. So the timing, that's why cycles work. The timing generally works out to be pretty close. And so this is how I was tracking this one here. So I was saying, okay, we have a really nice high time frame top. I'm looking for this to change direction sometime in the middle of July. And as you can see, it does. And then we come up to the new high, which was our all-time high. And so it actually peaked on an exact one-to-one of this right here. So if you were to take this and expand it with time, you can see that your one-to-one actually comes in basically at the high, telling you that price was, reaching an overextension in terms of both time and its range, if this was going to remain range bound. And then as you came back down, it did front run the low a little bit here, but all the way into that 50% of the next rally. So it actually failed right at a time pivot, which I thought was very interesting. So I did the same thing coming into this year. Once we had the 25-2 high, that was actually the second high, or the first high of the second half of the year. So from July 1st all the way to December 31st, this is the time frame, right? So to the low. So I was looking at this as, once we get to the one-to-one, I should be looking for potential take profits, because that could be a high if price is going to stop there, if the rally cannot get out of this range. And so when you add something like this, you can see that it came in as resistance. We were looking for that sell-off. It actually front ran I had preset some orders, which I normally don't advise, a couple $100 below this, because that was the gold pocket at the time. And it front ran the gold pocket and the value area low. And I think it left a lot of investors kind of like out, because this happened over a weekend, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Friday and Saturday it got underway. And I don't trade weekends. So that's how I was reading that. Now, that doesn't mean close your entire position. It just means I'm looking for a local top to be in this region, which we got because you had a really nice sell-off. But it was a really nice take profit for me. And then I was looking for more opportunities potentially. But yeah, I managed to get out right around 25. I think I put it on my Twitter. It was 25 to 22, because I like numbers. And some guys like, you traded it perfectly. And I said, it's really wasn't perfection, because, we don't know if this is the end. And obviously it ripped higher. So I'm still exposed. But it's one of those things where that's the stuff I look for. So if you were to apply the same thing, it would actually say that if we had similar, volatility, I guess, in terms of expansion, and I do think it's a good way to look at it. Like if you look at the yearly on this specifically, so this was a reversion back to the yearly pivot here last year. And you had some TPO point of controls, things like that, right in this region. So you can see that this is going to be your highest point of 2022. And this is your lowest point. So you would want to track this now and say, okay, when is, what would price look like if it had a really aggressive run up? Because this was by all means, this is a very aggressive move down from 47K to 15 over the course of, what is that, like 8 months? What would that look like? And you can see that puts you out in the middle of summer as things start to turn. So it would tell me that if we're in a larger extension of a rally, that this is going to take time to find its peak. If price is similar to, prior volatility. So big expansion down. If we get a big expansion up, I'm looking for time to serve as like a guide, so to speak. So doesn't mean that this can't be the high. It certainly could be. However, I've got no evidence outside of, that type of speculation and commentary to say that this is the local high, and I shouldn't expect prices higher. So that's how I do it. Hopefully that makes sense. But I'm looking somewhere between May and probably July still for like a local top to be put in, which is right in line with 2019. If you recall, that was like the June timeline, I think, for that 14K high.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, last one I want to take a look at with you. What are your thoughts about what we're seeing on the Dixie? This is a very, very hot topic right now, the value of the dollar. A lot of FUD out there. It's funny. Usually we just talk about the FUD of the crypto market, but there's a lot of FUD over the dollar right now. What are your thoughts about what you're seeing on the DXY chart? Because like you said in the beginning, it's not that you don't pay attention to news. It's that you just pay way more attention to what the charts are showing you than what the fundamentals are saying. What are the Dixie charts saying to you when you look at them?
Yeah, so the DXY has been a really easy chart, in my opinion. It's been, right now you're at a weekly breaker here. You can see that you've come down, consolidated, made a new local low after sweeping this one, and you're holding it as support right now, for now. Now, there's one blue box here, and there's a blue box here. I'm going to get rid of this one for just a second, and I'm going to get rid of some of these lines because they're just not necessary for right now. And the main reason is we're going to look at the high time frames. those are going to be the most important, right? So if we got to the 6 months straight away, you can see that you have an SFP here on your 6-month chart, not a bullish looking candle. So you've left all of your averages up here. So you can see that you have one at 106, 107, and then one all the way up at 112, completely untapped. And that can mean one of two things. If price can reclaim key regions, you can start trading for that mean reversion, much like we did on Bitcoin, where you get long when it starts reclaiming some key levels around 16.6. We're looking for $26,000. It's a great trade, right? Same thing could be said for the dollar here. This is a really important region of the chart. You failed to close above this level at 105,788. Very, very important breaker to get back above. But you can see just beneath you, you had the 2017 and 16 high backed up by one other level here. And if you go out to like a monthly chart, you can see that, or even a 3-month chart, over time, this has been just a really important area on the chart that if lost, generally you're going to come back into this. Oh man, I cannot get my, there we go. Yeah. You start clicking too many buttons while you're talking. Yeah. So right here, again, support, right here again, resistance. So this has been just such a key area over time. And it's not a surprise, it's near $1, but this is the region of the chart I had marked off for that reason, because if lost, you can see what happens. We get a pretty big wash down. And we were just consolidating for several years here since 2015 until this breakout in 2022. So a 7-year range made up of yearly levels. And we've gone over, how we track our levels and why they're important, but you can see these are the major inflection zones of the market. And you're finding your way back into this 102.21 zone. So as long as you're underneath 102.21, definitely not good in the short term. That can lead to a larger dip, in my opinion, all the way down to 96.5. And I think that would be, obviously great for Bitcoin. Be great for a lot of things in terms of the markets, but it's not really great. So if price can't find its legs above 102.21, and eventually get back through this little blue box, I'm bearish on the dollar. There's no reason to really be bullish on a chart that's coming back into a giant range like this, especially when historically you've seen that anytime you're back inside of this level,
you drop.
It generally, price going dip, So
and again, and like I said, I know we preface this by saying this is just looking at the charts. We're not necessarily paying attention to the fundamentals right now, but there's a lot of fundamentals that would back up what that chart is saying right there. This is one of those things, like, you kind of got to wonder. Sometimes it's hard not to be a conspiracy theorist when the chart, if you just looked at the chart and didn't pay attention to the news, it will tell sometimes the exact story that the news is telling. So it's like, which one came first? Is the chart coming first and news responding to the chart? Is the chart responding to the news? It's really hard to tell, but it's just absolutely very funny how many people can trade using TA and charts and have no idea what's going on in the actual fundamental market, and yet they can pinpoint what's happening there. Very, very interesting stuff.
There's also a really big topping pattern coming in on the DXY. I covered this back in the summer. I called it the hopium, and I feel like we brought it up on yours as well. It's underneath my fun folder, of course.
Fun folder. I love that.
Yeah, the fun folder. Yeah, there's the doomsday, there's the bat. There we go. So this is, if you guys are into harmonics, you can go to Scott Carney's website, harmonictrader.com. He's got a ton of free information, but this is a bearish pattern. So you have a really large consolidation here, usually between a 382 and a 50% for your B leg, which is what you've got. So you have this massive, some people call this inverse head and shoulders or double bottom, whatever it may be. But that's where this is. And you're looking for that expansion then of that range. And you want to see an 886 with at least a 1618 confluence here at D, which you have the 886, what says 8.876. So pretty close. And this is almost a 2618, which is a really nice, what do they call that? It's a convergence of Fibonacci numbers. So given the structure of this would be a top. And we were talking about this in the summer. I believe I was talking with Bill Noble, and we were talking about the dollar ripping. And I was like, actually, dollar looks like it's going to have some downside. Didn't quite fulfill the targets I wanted all the way up here. Came very close. But you've heard me say it before, trading's not about perfection. And if we start seeing signs of weakness, I have no reason to believe the dollar is going to make new highs. So for me, this has always been one of those things where I knew the dollar is probably coming back to 102. And it really needs to hold on to this local low here, right around 100 even and 102, and put in a bottom and rally. Otherwise, this starts to really play out, and you start looking at it saying, this is probably going to be a very, very significant high for the dollar. And it could, maybe not revisit those highs for a very long time, because we do see that when it puts in those highs, and it's putting in lower highs, not good for dollar holders, but it's going to spend some time down here. Anytime you've come back into this zone, you spend several years of, having a weaker dollar. And it is ironic because they're talking about rolling out their own new world reserve currency, the BRICS nations and stuff. So that would say we've done this several other times in history. That's probably what this chop is right here. Doesn't always pan out like the euro, things like that, but it would say dollar dominance is probably going to get cut a little bit, and we'll see what happens in the future after that. A lot of times that happens for like a rotation, and then people flee back to the dollar. So we'll see. But it looks like for our foreseeable future, the dollar is going to be done for a bit. So
very, very interesting stuff. Very good stuff. Man, every time you come on here, I just am amazed at stuff that you can bring to us. If you guys have loved every second of this, make sure you go follow him both on his Twitter and his YouTube channel. Those links are down in the description below us. Magic Internet Money, or what we were calling him pre-show, Mim. Can we just start? Is that the new thing? Can we just start calling him Mim from here on out? And then we'll start a thing where every other channel and all of his fans will call him Mim as well. Mim, thank you so much for being on here today. This was an absolute honor to have you guys on here, and then I look forward to having you on again really soon.
No, definitely. Thanks for having me. I love it. I always love catching up with you guys.
Yes. Like I said, go follow him right now. Click those links. You can do it even while you're watching the show. We'll see you next time, Mim. Have a great day.
You too.
Very, very cool stuff right there. Always love having him on here. There's so many things. I told you guys in my technical analysis journey, there are things I've learned from a lot of people. My appreciation of volume, using fixed range volume, using how to read those correctly, a lot comes from that guy right there. If you guys are looking for a great trader just to follow and continue to keep up to date and learn more stuff, sometimes he's so advanced in his thinking. Sometimes I get lost and I have to have conversations with him privately to get him to explain stuff to me. But you definitely should go follow him. We're a little, because we had a guest today, the show is a little bit different today. We're going to kind of delay some things. We're still going to cover some stocks here in just a second with T-Shroom. We're going to do our promos. We still have some news to cover. But again, we're still going to have at the end of the show, probably the last 20 to 15 minutes, will be Q&A for special TA you guys want to see. That's what that extra half hour is all about. I did want to give a special shout out, though, before we even get there, to one of our new members in our Patreon, Bedridden. He was already in our Patreon, but he just upgraded this morning to our Diamond package, which is amazing. The things that he gets, he now gets to join our monthly business meetings. So we have a business meeting that we have just to make sure we're making wise decisions. He gets one free 30-minute one-on-one with any of us. He can choose me. He can choose T-Shroom. He can choose Piper. He gets a free one-on-one with us. And then also, this is what I forgot about, he also gets to automatically become a moderator in our chat. So we got to make sure we get him upgraded in moderator here on YouTube. But I wanted to give a special shout out to Bedridden. By the way, I don't know why we hadn't seen his picture for it. Good looking guy. Do we have it? I don't know if we want. Let's not show him. He didn't give us permission. Yeah. Bedridden's a good looking guy.
He's a good looking guy.
He's a good looking guy. But congratulations to him, and thank you so much for your continued support of the channel. Make sure you guys, if you guys want to support our channel, you don't have to join our Patreon. It's awesome if you do, but one of the best ways you can do it is just by subscribing to the channel, watching every single day, leaving that like button, leaving comments down below with either compliments or critiques. How can we improve? You also can join our very, very, very free Discord, meaning for $0.00, you can join our free Discord and spend more time with us over there. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to check out all those links down below in our description. With that said, T-Shroom, why don't we go ahead and take a look at stocks for a couple of minutes, and then we'll continue on with the show.
Absolutely. Well, let's do that. Let's do it. Let's scroll up. We'll start with energy here. Natural gas is actually switching up the script. What is this? 14 minutes into the New York session, and natural gas is actually getting a little pump this morning as the ETF UNG, which tracks natural gas, is up just a bit. It's down there in the Smart Money Concepts bundle discount range for natural gas. So potentially looking like it could see a reversal here, but it's done this before. I would not put my trust in natural gas at this point quite yet. Looking over at oil's finally cooling down a little bit after a huge run up. Let's see. I can show you guys for it. About 23%. Goodness gracious, this is a weekly chart, but 23% since those lows back in. Oh, now it's gonna 20th of March. So oil has really made a comeback, but is now cooling off this morning, down 0.8%. All right, we're gonna go through these. Next one's a little faster. All your indexes are selling off this morning, but not by much. The NASDAQ is the Dow Jones is getting bought, barely green, up 0.1%. NASDAQ is down 0.5%. That is lagging. That is the biggest loser in the market by the indexes. And the S&P is just barely down 0.2%. So really not a whole lot of decision there. But if you had to make a characteristic, it'd be that money is rotating out of risk, right, out of the NASDAQ and into the Dow, but not by much. And this is still, like I said, the first 15 minutes of New York session, a lot can change, guys. Green across the screen there for crypto. Not a single crypto that is red. Let's get it. Now, you might be thinking up here, what about Biddy? Well, Biddy is a reverse ETF of Bitcoin's contracts. So just make sure you're taking that for note. This is not a crypto. Biddy is not a crypto. If you go and search Biddy on CoinMarketCap, who knows what you'll find? Probably don't want to buy it. It's something that you trade on something like TD Ameritrade or Robinhood. Okay, but look at this sea of green here for crypto in the first 15 minutes. Doge up 2%, Cake up 3.3%. Optimism Chain looks like it's leading the market there, up 3.6%. But Ethereum coming in strong, had a hot day yesterday to the upside and looking like it's going to be on pace for another one today, up 2%. I know Piper's super excited about that. Awesome. Not a single red one.
Yep.
Nothing turned red while we were looking at it. So really awesome there for crypto. Gold getting bought just a little bit, and silver cooling off after the monster day it had yesterday. Goodness gracious, getting up above this downtrending line of resistance, and I wouldn't say it's flipped it quite yet, but it got some good ground, and I would say pretty confidently that silver has a good chance here to flip that into support. So your metals are positioned well, and that makes sense based on what's going on geopolitically with the dollar and everything. Okay, Google is the only green name here. As we saw, the NASDAQ was down. Google is the only one clinging to green status here on your big cap tech stocks. That includes Microsoft and Tesla, all down. So that's interesting to see.
You know what I heard yesterday?
What did you hear, Tim?
About Google? They are no longer providing their employees with simple things like staplers and pens and paper clips and things. They're trying to crack down on spending. Maybe that's why Google is up, because they stopped buying staplers, pens, and paper clips.
It's possible. It's possible.
I mean, they're just marginally up, but it's a marginal cost. You know, that adds up. I don't know how many employees work for Google, but if you have to buy a stapler for every single one of them, that adds up.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, they've definitely been losing the AI race with Microsoft, and that has not looked good for them. But you know, they dominate when it comes to online advertising. So you know, that's their main bread and butter. I believe. I think their web services also are pretty impactful. But let's keep moving, guys. The bond yields are coming down this morning. The 2 years down the most on the yield front, down 2%, whereas the 30-year is only down 0.1%. I could even see this going green here, not too far from where we sit right now. Moving along, cannabis pretty mixed, nothing to see there. And then your mid cap tech stocks are all red. Jenny down 3%, more than 3%. And Coinbase down just barely 0.8%. That's actually a little bit of a surprise considering how green crypto is. You'd expect maybe that Coinbase would get a little bit of that love, but no, not today, not this morning, not April 5th. Oil producers mixed, big banks down, Bank of America down 0.9. And that's going to round out our market open. Really, really exciting stuff here, guys. I mean, the biggest takeaway is that crypto is getting bought. Big rotation into Ethereum specifically, but all across crypto. There's link went red there for a second before it got bought back up. But there's a big rotation right now out of, I guess oil a little bit, but mostly out of tech stocks and into crypto. So very interesting moves into crypto this morning. Obviously, that is going to be very exciting for a channel like ours. So, Tim, I want to throw it over to you. What are some exciting things that our community can be looking forward to here?
Yeah.
Some different things we want to promote.
Well, first of all, they should be excited about that super chat that just came in from Steve Shrum.
Steve E. Shrum.
Not to be confused with Steven
Right,
Ishram.
right. Totally different guy.
Very
He's
different
from
person.
Delaware or something.
One of them is T-Shrim's father. The other is his dad.
Yeah.
Is the difference between those two.
Yeah.
But no, what are some of the things they should be excited about? I'm actually curious. What are some things that we should be excited about? We didn't prepare this segment.
Well, I wanted to give another shout out to Bedridden for becoming a Diamond member. Really appreciate that. Also appreciate the awesome bro time we had yesterday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do that every day with our members.
We don't do it every day. Every Tuesday and Thursday.
Well, I do it every day.
You do?
Wait, where have you been, Tim?
I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, but specifically Tuesday and Thursday are the best ones. Yeah, so just a big shout out to Crypto Trades and all those guys who were in there making it happen, giving us some really good, honest feedback that's going to help us steer this community and help us to bring out the best products that we possibly can. Moving on into Consensus. Consensus is coming up, and you got 2 days, guys, before the price goes up. It's going to be in April 26th through the 28th. Where you can join the most important conversation in crypto and Web3. I thought that was us, but I guess it's a consensus.
I feel like we are the most important conversation.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But if you go now, where would you find a potential link to this event where you can actually save money? 15%. Right here. Look at this, folks. Consensus 2023. There's the link where you can save 15% off just by using that brilliant code right there, BROS. You click the link, you hit BROS, 15%. You're in Austin before you know it, having fun. Tim, you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. And Piper's going to be there. And Crux of Crypto will be in Austin. I don't know if he'll be at the event, but he's going to be there. And also
Beamer was busy that week.
Beamer was busy.
He couldn't get tickets, but he said next time.
I got to tell you, if my ETH trade keeps up the way it's going, he might be in Consensus with us. So.
Uh-oh.
To be fair, he is he's registered as an emotional support dog.
Crux of Crypto?
Yes.
Crux? Yes, he is too.
Beamer.
So we might be able to get Beamer in there as well. You know,
that's actually interesting. I wonder if a human has ever tried to register as an emotional support human.
Hey, and this
to get free airplane
don't
tickets.
Limit people. We can be whatever we want to be. That's what we're learning here in the year 2023.
Yes. And I don't know why you're accusing me of anything with that statement.
You seemed like you were trying to say that we weren't allowed to be.
I was leading that statement.
If Crux wants to be an emotional support dog, let him be an emotional support dog.
That's right. Yeah. Well, speaking of people who are very accepting, we're going to go to our first story, and that is from Donald Trump. And you may not have expected Donald to open up and voice his opinions on things, but he has. So he said the headline at least is dollar is crashing and will no longer be the world standard. This is something that Trump has said. Let's get into some of the details. Addressing his supporters and media from Mar-a-Lago, his Florida home, Trump opined on the deteriorating state of the US dollar. He said the following: "Our currency is crashing and will no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years." So that was Trump. Thanks for
live audio, actually. Not live audio, recorded audio that we were able to acquire.
Tactically acquire. Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, this is kind of right in line with the crypto bros, with the community of crypto, and certainly with what we've been saying here at Investing Bros. But Piper, I want to throw it over to you. Do you think that Trump's hitting the mark here? Is he too late to the game? Does anybody care? Or does his words matter here because Trump supporters may not really be tracking the whole currency wars narrative?
I'm going to have to go with my original stance that I've had for a while now. The destruction of the U.S. dollar is going to be detrimental, and I don't think people understand that. Third world countries are going to have millions of people starve to death, literally. A lot of their food and money, financial support comes from the strength of the U.S. dollar being the backbone of global economy. So that by itself makes me hope that he's wrong. I also don't want to pay $7 a gallon for gas in America at the average price, not California. So yeah, I hope he's wrong. But the signs are pretty telling that he might be actually onto something there. So
yeah,
what I think could be even more curious is to see. I'm not going to put it past that this is more of a publicity stunt for him. He has been very vocal about his support of the U.S. dollar. Is this just his roundabout way? And it's funny that he wouldn't just go ahead and say, maybe he did say in the quote, I didn't read the whole thing, that he just doesn't blame the whole Biden administration for the problem. But is this his way of saying pretty much, the dollar's going to die unless you reelect me. Because we know from the past, I mean, crypto people. I know
Absolutely.
there's crypto people that align and they have views and they like Trump. I know lots of people in crypto that don't like Trump. There's some people in the middle. There's some people all over the place. What we need to know, or what you should know in case you didn't, is that Trump historically has been anti-Bitcoin. He is on record by saying he does not like Bitcoin. He does not like that digital currency. He is a fan of the US dollar. So that's why it's really curious that he's talking about the death of it. More than likely, this is just an election thing. He just wants to kind of scare the American people into thinking, if you don't vote for me, the dollar will die. If he does become president for a second term, which is at this point, who knows? That there's actually a decent chance he does. I hope that he kind of softens his stance on Bitcoin, at least for the sake of freedom. Like, even if he's not going to be the massive outspoken advocate of Bitcoin, at least I would like to hope that whoever our next president is, because I don't think it'll be a repeat of Biden, whoever the next president is, at least enable the freedom for the individual to make the choice on what they want to hold as their assets. Do they want to hold US dollars? Good for them. Do it. Do they want to hold Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or peanut butter and jelly coin? Let them do what they want to do. This is the whole point of the United States, is to have the freedom to pursue happiness, not to have happiness, but to pursue happiness. And sometimes peanut butter and jelly coins, you can be happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there. I do think, though, this is more of a publicity, vote for me or else type of statement, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's definitely kind of a, it's a timely, convenient thing to, you're not going to lose any voters by saying something like this. But you're also not really going out on too much of a limb and risking too much here. Well, there's another story, and this one's a little more solemn, guys. Not really going to be too much to joke about here, but Bobby Lee, and I'm serious about that. Bobby Lee, creator of Cash App and former CTO, back on my screen, of Square, was stabbed to death. It appears as though last night is when this occurred. So on Tuesday morning at 2:35 a.m., the San Francisco Police Department responded to a shooting of responded to a report of a stabbing near the 300 block of Main Street in Soma, and then Lee was taken to a hospital, but succumbed to his injuries. Bob Lee worked at Google for the first few years of Android, focusing on core library management. He then joined Square, the payment company that later became Block, to develop its Android app. So a big leader there in Android, and a big leader in the tech industry for sure. To be honest with you, I had not heard of him, but I absolutely have heard of Cash App, obviously, and Block. These are big companies in the payment world, of which have adopted cryptocurrency, many of them. But yeah, so I mean, this story really is more about, in my opinion, it's a obviously sad day for his family and those who in the tech community who knew him. But it's also kind of a reflection of like what is going on in San Francisco. So I've pulled up some crime rates here, and we can kind of react to them. But I've got El Paso first. This is where Piper lives. Not going to tell you the specifics, obviously, but this is where he lives
at 443.
Yeah, write this down.
El Paso Drive.
But the crime index there is 32. So this is actually one of the higher ones that we're going to cover here in this lineup.
Wow.
But yeah, so you can see this is from neighborhoodscout.com. Number of crimes, violent crimes, are 1,700. And this is annually. And then total property crimes are just under 9,000, and then total crimes 10,000. So 10,300. So that's kind of the reference point for a safe city. And El Paso is notoriously pretty safe. It has it has a giant military base there, and then there's some other reasons why we don't need to get into. But New York,
it's mostly in that lower east side there. It's literally like the barrio out here. So
yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah, I see that area over there where there's nothing.
Over here?
No, on the west side of the mountain.
Oh, okay. Here?
Up.
Here?
Down, right there.
Yeah, somewhere around here.
That's where I live. See? No crime. And it's all because of my arsenal. So
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll zoom through these really quickly. New York has a 15, right? So you're getting a little bit more violent. And then Gainesville, Florida, where Tim and I live, actually is pretty bad. 6 on the crime. There is a lot of crime here in Gainesville for our population level. So it still pales in comparison. It's only 5,000 compared to El Paso, but El Paso is a much larger by population city. So that's why we have a much worse rating. But San Francisco takes the cake, guys. This is, up until now, this has kind of been just an interesting voyage, but this is staggering. 44,000 violent crimes annually. And it's 2.
Yeah, the fact that it's that populated and this dangerous, yeah.
It's insane. So I'm sure that you've heard, I'm sure that you've heard about the violence and the craziness going on in San Francisco, but now it's manifesting in the tech world. And I don't know, Tim or Piper, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard too many high profile killings happening in San Francisco. You hear about the crime and you hear about normal everyday people just getting injured and whatever and things like that and being victims of crime, of which I have been a victim of crime. I actually was there in 2015, I want to say. Had a rental car, was parked right in front of the city building, was taking a tour of City Hall, San Francisco, and we come back to our car and the windows were smashed in. I think I've told this story on the show before. Windows were smashed in. My friend's backpack was gone with a necklace and a laptop was in it, just gone.
Wow. And
when we made the police report, everybody that we asked to that entire day trying to figure out what the heck happened, they said, "Oh, well, you left your backpack in sight," and it was our fault. Well, perhaps it was. We we're from Florida where things are a little less violent, but yeah. So the violence there is pretty crazy. But unfortunately, I think that this is what it takes: a high profile individual, a wealthy individual, presumably getting injured and getting killed, is what it's going to take for San Francisco, hopefully, to wake up and figure out what the heck they can do.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be that. This is going to be a signal that all the few big businesses that have stayed behind in San Francisco are going to start looking for their exodus. I know at the moment Coinbase technically is still there, but they had started moving stuff out. I wonder if this makes Brian Armstrong accelerate his exodus of San Francisco in the crypto community. And again, there's other things there as well. I mean, we already know, there were teams, literally the Golden State Warriors moved away because they were like, we're tired of going to practice every single day in this crime-ridden city. We're seeing athletic teams move from San Francisco. I guess they still have their 49ers, but I think their practice facilities and stuff stay outside of the city because they just do not want to deal with that. I think it's not even just how long before San Francisco fixes their stuff. It's how long before businesses say we are no longer going to do business in this city. It's just too dangerous. And then that's going to be, ultimately when they leave, the entire San Francisco economy is going to collapse. And then the crime's going to try to go somewhere else, but hopefully it goes to a place where there's better justice system.
Well, the thing is
law enforcement.
The thing is that San Francisco is a major port though, too. It's not just a tech hub. It is a tech hub and there's going to be a lot of companies that don't leave. Because there's the biggest companies in like Apple and Microsoft.
It's true.
If they don't have headquarters, they have major. A lot of them are paying taxes in California, regardless. So the money doesn't fall far in California, and so there, all that adds up to no change. It's just the same people get elected, and the same silly policies keep going through again and again. What it's going to take, we don't know, but hopefully, this event will not go unnoticed, and hopefully, citizens will start to rethink how they're voting. But we'll see.
I've always wanted to go to San Francisco just because it looks like one of those really cool cities to visit.
It is
not so much anymore. I haven't wanted to do that for about 5 years now. So
yeah, it's got a ton of history. It was the hub for the gold rush. A ton of history. It's also geographically really cool. A lot of hills, so it's great for people who are trying to do strength training, cardio.
Interesting.
And there's just there's a lot of really great things about San Francisco, and I enjoyed it while I was there, except for when we got robbed for like $1,000 worth of electronics and jewelry and stuff. So it's a it's a good city probably if you're from there and the tricks of the trade. The Bay Area is beautiful. They've got great seafood and things like that. But it's like kind of what you were asking, Tim. It's like, how long can that last if the crime rate just keeps on climbing? Nobody's gonna want to go there. But what I'd say, unfortunately, is they have such a strong port And there's so many other tax bases that just one company, even if it's as big as Coinbase, leaving, it's not going to be.
Oh yeah, they're
enough.
gonna need multiple. That was just one of the ones that came to mind. They're gonna need multiple big companies to leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Any other stories we have today?
That's gonna round it out. I was actually, just looking to make sure. And no, I mean, pretty much there's some other things going on, but I think we want to go ahead and start taking.
Yeah, we got some Q&A. We have a super chat here from Crypto Set Guy. Before we jump into TA, I have the exact same question, but I can't wait to hear the answer. He says, "What's up with the drill and Xbox controller behind T-Shroom?" That's a new addition because we know the drill is usually back there. Is the drill been gaming here recently? What is happening in your background, T-Shroom?
No, there is definitely breaking news. Okay, I'm glad that I looked.
We'll get back to the drill.
But the drill is important to also talk about even before we get to the breaking news, which I don't know if you've gone to my screen yet, Piper. Yeah, hold on, wait a second. Okay, so you've got a drill and you've got a game controller. Okay, these are what summarizes really my life is, and I may be the first person to say this, but work hard, play hard. That's really the summary of me. And I like to be unique. I like to come and be original. So that's why I think that's kind of how that is.
I want to point out that one of the replies to that super chat was that T-Shroom has been running FIFA drills.
FIFA, but yes. Yeah.
Hey, don't. I'm freestyling here. FIFA.
Okay, good. I mean, to be fair, since we're talking about T-Shroom, I feel like a good pronunciation, an improper pronunciation fits well. So we play FIFA.
Yeah.
I haven't played FIFA in a while.
Yeah.
I need to. I want to start. And that was another thing that I saw Crypto Trade say. He said he would be very down. Maybe that's something we should do with our Discord members. He said we should play like Warzone or something. He'd love to play Warzone with the bros.
Dude,
I'm down.
We have I'm going to say this really quickly. We had a concept of doing a trading challenge where I trade and play a game at the same time and see if I can win in Battle Royale and make a profit of like $100 on some series. So it's going to take some doing to try and get something like that going. But in the meantime, we could absolutely hop on and play some live games of FIFA and or Warzone or even Age of Empires, if anybody plays that. T-Shroom is a gamer. He loves to work hard and play hard. All right, let's get into this story right here.
News,
really quickly. Now, Piper, you need to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this hasn't been said before. So Ukraine will become a member of NATO.
Whoa, that's huge.
Jens Stoltenberg, Secretary General of NATO. So that is them's fighting words, I suppose. I mean, those
are fighting words.
That's pretty insane. We'll get into the comments here on Twitter, but this is from Radar Hits, which is retweeted by Zero Hedge quite often. So let's see if Zero Hedge has said anything about this. Really quickly.
Wow.
This could be pretty big. I'm not seeing anything yet about that. So it's breaking from Radar, and it was only about 5 minutes ago that this was 8 minutes ago. So
that
more than likely
would be huge.
Yeah, we'll probably by the end of the stream I'll try to confirm this on BBC or NPR or something like that. But yeah, so
yeah, if anybody sees a link anywhere out there, any of the viewers, drop it in the chat so we can get something on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can leave my screen and so we can go ahead and get into the TA after that.
Yeah, I mean, we can go ahead, everybody, and start dropping some TA you guys would like to see. Go to my screen here real quick. We're waiting on some coins. We'll just update them. We're out here on the hourly chart. Bitcoin's dropping back down. We've been talking about this rising level of support on our channel, being technically an ascending triangle. We broke below it with wicks. We're back up into it. So keep your eyes on this level of somewhere around 28,000. I would say as long as you stay above 28,000, we're technically still respecting this. Of course, we still have a trading channel as well. So the question is, which one are we really respecting more? But Bitcoin is dropping. We're down to 28.2 right now. Ethereum's back down, touching 1,900. Prices, again, this is not like a dump or anything. This isn't like a massive drop. But it is red candles. After starting off green earlier, if you guys were watching the show, T-Shroom talked about how all the altcoins were green. Well, now we got DOT back in the red. We talked about DOT yesterday. Very interesting chart in the hourly chart. Sometimes these exchanges have very boxy, like a very clean looking candle opens and closes. Link is in the red. I think it was kind of flashing there a little bit. Matic is in the red this morning. Solana is in the red this morning. Nothing major. I mean, even the red ones, they're less than 1%. But to be fair, all the greens, I don't see. Let's see. Is there any altcoin in my list I'm following? Chili's. There we go. Come on, Chili's. One of my favorite. Chili's is up 2% at the moment on the day, even though the most recent hour is a red candle happening here. Let's see. The Dixie is green right now. So we're seeing on this hourly chart, we're seeing the Dixie pick up a little bit of strength. Again, on the macro timeline, that has a long way to go before we can really call the Dixie bullish. But we are seeing things flip a little bit. So we got some volatility happening this morning. Piper, did you see any altcoin that you wanted to address in the chat?
I have not seen any in the chat. I just saw Hex.
Says, can you do Hex?
See, I'm with you. Hex.
I don't like Hex. I'm not gonna hide my feelings on Hex. I don't like it. I don't know if it's legit or not. I just know that
I've never even looked at Hex. So let me pull it up and see what I can do here.
I pulled it up.
Yeah, I've never even touched Hex, just at all.
I'll be very honest. I'm not the biggest fan.
Okay, let's see what we got here. It does look like it's primed for a move. I see that right here on the 12-hour, getting really tight on our oscillator cloud right off the bat. We are in a bullish structure here, but we did not get anything after this pullback that came back to grab all the liquidity from here, which it's been doing. Let me go and drop this. Let's do this. Here we go. I'm going to throw me a fib on here. Is that it? Right there? Right there. Bam. And let's see what it looks like. Because, I don't want to tell people I don't like their token, so I don't do TA on it, I don't like Hex at all, but we'll run it. Oh, no. Yeah, look, there we go. Rejection in golden pocket, perfectly. Rejection on the top of the predictive ranges trade band, the top frame there. So let me show you out there. There you go. There's our predictive ranges, rejected on the trade band, currently back inside of its trade pocket. Good support from the dynamic reactor coming here. MACD looks like it's getting ready to cross on the signal line, and the histogram is about ready to cross there. We do have a little slight ribbon twist there, but with that tightening cloud, I would say that it's getting ready to launch off. I was
going to say, yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks like it's on top of support.
Yep, it looks like we're going to go back up. I would look for a target of this support line coming in at about 11.9 cents, and then the golden pocket coming in at about 13.1 cents. So there you go.
I'm looking. I saw CryptoSec guy, and I know this is more of a joke, but he wants PB and J coin. I don't know if there definitely is a peanut butter coin. Let's see if there's a PB and J coin. I don't know how you would. I'd probably have to just spell out peanut butter. Peanut butter. Let's see what we got. Yeah, peanut butter coin for sure. Is there in jelly coin? No, I don't know if there's a peanut butter and jelly coin. There is a peanut butter coin. I don't know if it's going to be on. I don't know if it's going to be on TradingView, but I did this earlier. There was something we were doing a long time ago. I just looked up ridiculous names of altcoins because there are a plethora of ridiculous altcoins, and I know that peanut butter was one of them for sure. And I think there's a jelly coin as well, but nobody's made a peanut butter and jelly coin. Should we, T-Shroom, get into the token creation game and create a peanut butter and jelly token?
The PB&J coin?
The PB&J coin. That way, when I talk about it, we know we're talking about something legitimate.
We'll see.
Interesting.
I'm not sure.
Let's see what else is happening here. Ninja Glock said, I see something else that he said Ukraine will enter NATO after win over Russia. So they're saying it will happen after, I don't know.
I've got to admit, I haven't seen any confirmation. The only thing closest to is Politico ran a headline yesterday. NATO trends fine line on Ukraine membership, treads fine line. So I think that there has been some speculation. They're closer than ever to joining, but I think that Radar, unless they're seeing something that the rest of the world is not, Radar may be a little quick to the gun with this headline, which means that indeed Ukraine. The headline is Ukraine will become a member of NATO. That's the Secretary General of NATO saying that is what Radar is saying, and at this time, I don't believe it yet. I'm not seeing enough confirmation to believe that. But Radar is a pretty reliable Twitter account for the most part.
Interesting, very interesting. Well, if we get more information while we're still live, we'll keep going. We got a request from Donato Cabrera. I don't know, Donato. I don't know which one it is, but Cabrera, I think I'm pronouncing right, wanted us to look at Anchor. So I pulled that up here really quickly. First thing I'm noticing, so looking at going back to the bottom that is at the moment the bottom of the bear market, and again, assuming that it will be up to more recent top we had back here in February, you'll notice we came back down, we pulled back down to the daily dynamic reactor, found some a bounce there. After kind of getting a little bit above the 0.5, came back down to golden pocket. We're wrestling currently with the 0.5, but I was looking at the multi-time frame support and resistance levels here with Chart Prime, which is, again, one of my favorite things about this indicator, along with the oscillator as well. I'll take a look at some other on the 4-hour chart and hourly chart there. But we did just come back down, retesting this lower level, and we don't have the same type of crazy bunches. We got two right here, and then two up there. A lot of times you'll find these multi-time frame support and resistance zones give you some bunching, and that really, really helps. I've shown you on other charts. See right here? Okay, so a wick came down, kissed this little bunch right here. We rejected it, this bunch up here. This bunch down here was the bottom. That kind of marks almost the bottom of this entire coin. But right now, I got to say, I'm looking at this. The oscillator is a little bit mixed. The ribbon is kind of now trading sideways. You can see the constriction even in the ranges, the green and red above and beyond it. It's kind of constricting here. I guarantee you, if I pull up the Bollinger Bands, we're going to see some constriction. Yeah, we've moved into almost a channel on the Bollinger Bands. So a breakout is coming. And the fact that what I'm looking at right here, we've had a touch recently on the dynamic reactor. We're sitting here above the 20 daily SMA. Let's go look at the 4-hour chart and see what it is saying. But I'm leaning off the daily chart. I'm leaning a little bit more bullish at the moment. We're on the equilibrium, both daily and 4-hourly chart. Yeah, I mean, it's trading down right now, but I'm interested. I think that at the moment, I'm going to lean a little bit more bullish on this one. Let's go back out to the daily chart and check one more thing. I want to check the fixed range volume profile. Just take a look at where we have some dominance and price action. Got to pull down my oscillators as well. Let's take a look all the way since we kind of started the big dip back here in May of 2022. What we're looking at right here, price is currently above strong support. So even if we dip down a little bit, that's going to be some strong support right here at about 3.4 cents. You have a valley right below that at 3.3 cents. That is some strong support sitting right below us. Again, the fact that we're kind of over this main peak and we're starting to head back down the mountain towards the next valley, right there, that point of control around 4 cents is looking like a decent little spot. Match back up to the wick we had here just a couple of days ago. I think I'm leaning a little bit more bullish on Anchor at the moment. And again, let's even take a look at more longer term. I think that there's a decent chance we could have a good run up on Anchor. Absolutely. Let's go all the way to the not quite all-time high, but the last peak that we had back here. What was this date? November of 2021. So that's when a lot of other coins were hitting their all-time highs. We haven't even come back up to touch the 0.236 yet, which means one of two things. It means Anchor has not been bullish. I will start off by saying that. But it also means it's going to be one of the more overextended to the downside coins. So when there's a reason for it to pop off, it's overextended to the downside. It could have a nice little pump. Let's look at the weekly chart real quick for that. Are we going to get a dynamic? No, we just created a dynamic reactor. So can't really do that much with that one. So sticking to the daily chart. I'm leaning a little bit more bullish on the Anchor chart at the moment. Again, bearish scenario, maybe a pull back down to the daily dynamic reactor, but at around 2 cents. But after that, I think it has way more room to the upside. Don't know too much necessarily about the fundamentals, but what I'm seeing is it looks like more of an oversold coin. Last one, let me go to the oscillator. Let's see what the oscillator says. We just got a rejection here, but again, the fact that we're piling up here, I'm not necessarily reading too heavily into that rejection triangle. Yeah, I'm liking what I see on Anchor. Anything else we saw in chat? I think, did you see anything, Piper, that you were starting to look into?
Yep, I got Matic here for crypto trades.
Nice.
So looking here on Matic, we had a rejection over here. You can see we got a possible reversal down that printed there. We were in the overbought and all this good stuff. This is a 12-hour chart that I'm looking at, but you can see we came all the way down, came into, broke that bottom frame, came into a whole new range there of our predictive ranges. Currently, right now, we did have a front ran rejection off of the upper resistance line, and right now we are above the top trade band, squeezed in a sandwich there, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, on the dynamic reactor. So what I'm watching for here, and he was asking if it looked like it was a long opportunity, I'm going to have to give that a no. Here's why. One, we do have some bullish things here first off, okay? So yes, the oscillator ribbon does look like it's coming up, but we are just coming out of the cloud. A lot of times when we come out of the cloud this high above the 50, you can see that it starts to do a big turn. So the little up and then down, right? Just like back here, little up, went sideways. That's where we are right now coming out of this cloud. Don't feel super bullish, even though we're on an upward trend for the oscillator ribbon, that is going to give us a continuation of price. Plus, this pinch that we have below our dynamic reactor right now is not looking very promising. I would want this to be above the dynamic reactor, maybe on a retest of it to get into a long there. And then lastly, I got a couple of fibs here. You can see we're getting a lot of support, and this is going from the bottom to the top. So we start over here for the bottom to the top on the measurement of this fib channel, but the Fibonacci lines here, retracement. But what I'm looking at here is that we did get a bounce on the 65% here of the golden pocket to come up. But when we look here at the top down retracement, which is going to go from this high here to the low, you can see that we got a perfect rejection on the 50% line. You guys hear me say all the time, if we get rejected on the 50% line, it's bearish. It's very bearish. So I would need to see either a nice retracement to this 236 for a bounce there to show support, to get my entry in there and set my stop loss back below this low candles here, or I would have to see it break above, get above the 382 and the dynamic reactor before I would feel comfortable getting into a long at this point. I think it's in wait mode right now.
Yeah, and that's from a trading and from like a short term standpoint. But Matic, if you're looking for an altcoin to invest in, Matic
spot DCA every chance you get.
It's going to be hard to find a better altcoin than Matic. It's an institutional favorite.
Yeah.
Every institution that's been educated, that's gotten some kind of education on crypto, they've absolutely heard about Matic because it is the number one scaler, the number one layer 2 for Ethereum. And Ethereum is, really big too. So obviously there's bigger alts than Matic, but Matic is a, as far as crypto goes, a safe investment, and not financial advice, but it is it's up there. So
yeah. We got a request from a name that I have not seen in a long time. In fact,
really,
I wonder, I'm going to say his name in a second. I wonder if he just subscribed or if he's been watching for a while and I just missed his name. JT Skinner is in chat. For those, correct me if I'm wrong, but JT Skinner was the number one super Smay fan.
I think so.
I think, and unfortunately, Smay's doing great, by the way, with his life. It was time for him to kind of take a different path. He was just kind of done with doing crypto YouTube. But yeah, JT Skinner in chat. Great to see you here. He said, "What's good on the Chainlink chart?" Let's go ahead and take a look at Chainlink. I think because Crux of Crypto just said love some Link right below him too. Yeah. I'm looking down here on Link. First of all, Chainlink has been one of it. I think traders would absolutely love Chainlink right now, or have been loving Chainlink right now, because it's been trading in a trading channel now for a while. It's been a while since we came back up, touched the top here, of course, because the last time we did it, we pretty much touched the 2 daily dynamic reactor, got rejected, came back down. But notice we threatened it the other day, a couple of weeks ago, but we're currently working on turning this 2-day dynamic reactor back into being green. But just look at some of the calls. Like this is something I taught over on the Chart Prime channel. This oscillator is so deadly, especially in a time where you're trading sideways in accumulation in a channel. Just look at some of these calls on the 2 daily chart here. We got overextended with our bullish divergence. That was the bottom that started this whole thing off. We got a peak seeker right here with bullish divergence. We're back down towards the level support again. We got our overbought with our red, overbought with a reversal candle, a reversal triangle, coming in just a little bit before. Great signal right here. Even down here, even though we didn't come back down to levels, look at, we're getting flashes of bullish divergence at this bottom, flashes of bullish divergence at this bottom. So you could have worked with both of those, get our reversal. Even though we didn't get a double signal here, technically speaking, using confluence of the dynamic reactor, got a great reversal there. So this oscillator has been making some great calls here on the 2 daily chart. Daily chart, it's a little bit too much of a range. I wondered why, because there's some great signals on the daily chart, but it's not quite the same. And the reason why is because you got in this channel, this is why I think traders have loved this, 70% volatility happening ever since the dip that we had back in May. Technically speaking, that May dip back in May of 2022, that was the bottom. Like that was the bottom. We just been trading sideways on Link. So while it hasn't necessarily had this massive bullish momentum that other coins have had, it has been one that I think traders probably have enjoyed very much so. The daily here on the daily dynamic reactor, we've kind of been flirting with this, turning it sideways. Watch this potentially begin to move to the upside again. I'm not predicting an altcoin crash that we would see a continuation to the downside here for the dynamic reactor. I think more than likely this is just a slow bottoming out for this dynamic reactor. Watch the price begin to climb. So I think breakouts for Link are coming. Let's take a look at a couple of the things that we were talking about, though. Let's pull up the smart money concepts. We're sitting smack dab in the middle, though. So let's see here. We recently, there's not a bundle right there. We kind of been wrestling right there with that support line. You're going to see we found support at this little bundle right here. We found support. We have a very bottom level, hit our discount zone here with our predictive ranges. That's not predictive ranges. That's just premium zones. We rejected right here at this little bunch. We have 3 resistance levels right here. So what I'm kind of watching here, if we can get some bullish momentum going on, let's watch this 4-hour chart. This is the orange 4-hour chart resistance here at $7.73. But potentially, we're looking for a push back up to this bunch right here about at 845. And then it's been a while, but if we get some bullish momentum coming back up to this resistance level that's been touched several times now, all the way back up to 940, give or take. That's going to be something I'm definitely keeping an eye on for that. Let's see. Last thing, let's take a look at our fixed range volume profile. Let's see, even during this time, I'm sure it's going to be on the lower end, the lower front. But let's take a look here. We're sitting right above the most dynamic part, the most volume, the most has been trading. So the fact that we're kind of on the upper half of that and we've turned it into support is another sign. We more recently were below it. We've conquered it. We're testing it back, turning it into support. This is another bullish sign for Link. Again, I'm not necessarily talking about a brand new rally here, but I think there is room to the upside, potentially as high. If we can really catch some bullish narrative here and bullish momentum, we've got about another 28-30% before we get back up here to our flat level of resistance.
I got 2 things for Skinner on there too, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead.
So looking here real fast, something that I want to show you is one on the 12-hour. We've got amazing support that we've been testing and proving here. Come on back up. There we go. So, yeah, looking at this going all the way back to the 16th of March here, you can see we're getting fantastic support on our dynamic reactor there. But what I want to show you is you know, a lot of times you get into these sideways trading actions here. And when you look at this, like, for example, on the 4-hour, it's just like, how do I trade this, right? I mean, yeah, you got reversal ups and reversal downs, and there's some good moves in there. But I'm going to show you guys a really quick method that is going to help you when we're in this sideways range forever. And it is called the regression trend tool. You just grab this regression trend tool here, come back to the start of where this is at, and you can do this like when you're over in the middle of this even, just to give you an idea. But all you're going to do is you're just going to trade the tops and bottoms of this range on shorts and longs, and then you're going to take profit anytime it hits the center line that's running across there in the middle. And then once it does, like say for example, if you did your short from here, once it retested and broke in there, you'll see that there was always a retest in there, right there. Perfect retest. You're going to set your stop loss up here. Once you get to your first take profit, just move your stop loss inside so that you never have loss of your profits. And then you're just going to do that back and forth. Take profit 1, move your stop loss up in. Here it comes back and hits it, but you still got half your profit there, right? Get into your long here. It's going to come back up. You're going to take profit 1, take profit 2, enter into a short. That's the best way to trade when something's ranging sideways like this. Throw in that regression trend tool, have some patience, set your alerts on it, and just drive. So
I'll do even more so. That, again, just furthering confirmation on the bullish side of this. Go back to my screen. I was noticing this while you were talking. We're also in an ascending triangle at the moment. This flat level resistance has been very relevant for a long time now. Again, that's part of the reason why we're getting close to the most consistent. But just look at all the times that this zone was kind of used as resistance over the last couple of months here. So when you kind of look at that and you're saying, all right, we got a flat level of resistance we're wrestling with. Well, here more recently with these rising levels of support, this is what we call an ascending triangle. And if you play this out, if we get a price prediction that plays out correctly, this would give us a breakout all the way up to, let's go ahead and see. Oh, would you look at that? $9.44. Oh, a lot of confluence coming in here on Link. So glad you asked, JT, that we dug into this. We can't always just dig into all these different coins, but I'm glad we spent some time digging even for my own TA knowledge here. Well, that is about, I think, it for today. We got about a minute left. However, we're not going to be able to cover a whole new coin here. I want to make sure, chat, let's read some chat here. Servando Estrada says, Tim is on fire. Thank you so much, man. Very, very honored.
Servando Estrada.
Servando Estrada.
Savando.
We didn't get to read his name.
Estrada.
Yeah,
In stereo.
GS said that's the kind of learning I like. Thanks, Army Piper. Absolutely. That's what we want to. Just in case anyone's wondering what this whole segment is when we're probably not going to do a whole half hour. We talked about it yesterday. We're probably going to end up doing some other things with this half hour. We're doing some games, maybe some more interacting, but we always want to cover some of this TA for the main purpose of hopefully you guys aren't just watching us do TA and say, oh, well, Tim or Piper said it, so therefore it has to happen, and we're going to trade this. But more so, watch how we're breaking down what we're doing on the charts so that you can take those lessons, you take those philosophies and apply them to your own TA so that you can trade even when Piper and I are not live on a
Tim,
show.
Tim, would you rather give someone a fish to eat for a day, or would you rather teach them the fish to eat for life, Tim? Which would you prefer?
Give them a steak. Don't even give them a
I was
fish.
going to say, I would give them a manual on how to be a man and eat steak. I'm just kidding. If you don't like steak, I love steak. That's good. But no, yeah, that philosophy is exactly what this channel is all about. If you guys ever do catch a fish based off what we say, that's great. But I would rather you guys watch us and learn how to fish so that you can do this for yourself. And again, that's what we do not only here on YouTube, but if you want even more of that, make sure, if you are not already, you are in our Discord. Link in the description down below. We got some stuff we got to get done today, though, so that is all we have for you in this show. But make sure you tune in once again tomorrow, because especially with some of this breaking news, this show is not going to get any more boring. It's only up from here. We love all of you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a great day.